welcome back to my channel.
Talk to me nice. Talk to me honest.
We're gonna do a thing, and we'll see whether or not it works. You know, we're trying stuff out here. So one of my favorite channels over in the beauty / commentary space is Hannah from Smoky Glow, and she does this thing every so often called a yas or pause, which basically she goes through makeup releases and talks about whether or not she's gonna buy them. And it's kind of inspired by something called an anti-haul, which is also super popular in the beauty community, which is originated by Kimberly Clark, who is a drag queen and drag performer. And basically it's to combat consumerism culture, and I kind of want to do it something similar with books, because I shouldn't have had that drink of Coke. A lot of popular releases don't really interest me. So basically I'm gonna go through the most anticipated releases of 2021 that Goodreads compiles. I'm only gonna do 4 categories because I don't read mystery, thrillers, or fiction. So we're only gonna do the romance, fantasy, and science fiction, nonfiction, and YA categories. And then I'm gonna tell you whether or not I'm gonna buy these anticipated releases. There's between 0 and 2 a month. And we're only going to do January and February. And then I'm going to give you 5 recommendations of books that I am actually really excited for them to come out. Either they've already come out in January or are coming out in February, because I'm filming this kind of late into January. So I hope you like this video. If you like it, you let me know by giving it a thumbs up and commenting down below. So the first book is Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. I'm butchering her name, absolutely I am. And kind of the description on Goodreads is basically about how there isn't really that much information out yet about this book. There's not a ton of synopsis, but that the selling point is that it is about the daughter of the Lord of Death. And it seems very science fiction heavy, and it doesn't have like a ton of romantic elements to it, which is actually kind of one of the things that I look for in a book. I like for it to have either a romance plot or a really heavy romance subplot. So for that reason, I'm probably not going to pick up this book, but I think it's going to be great for those of you who think that there's too many books with romantic subplots out there. So you should definitely check this one out. So the next one is The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey, and this one has one of my personal sins when it comes to books, and that is a cheating plot. So it is about a man who is having an affair with a clone of the main character. And frankly, I don't read any book that has a cheating plot in it, and this is not going to be any different. I am definitely not picking this one up. Moving on to nonfiction. The first one is To Be Honest by Michael Levitson. And honestly, this one had me really intrigued. I had not heard about it before I started doing this video, but it's an autobiography about this man whose family refuses to lie. And basically he never learned to tell a lie until he was like in his late 20s. And it's actually really intriguing for like personal reasons. And I'm really interested in picking this one up. I have some Audible credits that I need to use up, so I'm probably going to pick this one up with that. Because if you don't know this, I like to read nonfiction. I like to listen to nonfiction read mostly by the author, but I'll deal with, you know, a narrator. The next one is Aftershocks by Nadia Owusu. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. But this is a autobiography / coming of age story. And I frankly don't enjoy coming of age stories. They don't really, you know, at my age, they no longer resonate with me. However, I did watch Reagan by Peruse Project. She did her anti-TBR video a little while ago, and I was watching her, and she mentioned how she preferred coming of age stories in a TV format or like a movie format, and I totally agree with that. I will still watch coming of age stories in movie, but I just don't want to read about it. Like, I have a different taste in books than I do in movies, and both are what most people would consider horrible. So And the next one in the nonfiction category is Think Again by Anna M. Grant. And this one sounds interesting because it is about how to reprocess the way that you think in order to change your opinions. I'm doing a terrible way of like describing it, but basically thinking and looking into how to reprogram the way that you think in order to be more anti-racist or more open-minded and things like that is actually really helpful. So I hope that this is what this is about, and if it is, I'm definitely going to pick it up because it sounds really intriguing. Again, I'm probably going to either get it on Audible or try to get it on Script or Libby because I tend to like to listen to nonfiction rather than read it. Now we move on to young adult. The first one is gonna be a difficult one for me. It is Concrete Bros by Angie Thomas, and I know that there's tons of people that are super excited for it. However, I am not one of them. I know, don't kill me. And I've mentioned this before. I've mentioned it more on my Instagram, but I have mentioned it on a couple of my videos here before. I am ESL. English is my second language. Even though I don't sound it, I still have a difficult time with reading comprehension in the way that certain books are written, and it has nothing to do with AAVE. It has everything to do with sentence structure and grammatical choices made by certain authors in order to elevate the book, like make the book more sophisticated and more interesting to a more advanced reader. And I just don't understand the book. Because of that, I actually have this problem with both Angie Thomas and Elizabeth Acevedo, which are two authors that I have been literally killing myself to try their books and to really enjoy it, and I just can't. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. I would really love to enjoy their books, but I just can't because I literally cannot understand them and I can't read them. So this is gonna unfortunately be a pass for me. But if you are a fan of Angie Thomas, I really hope you like this book because it looks amazing. Hey everyone, it's Editing Gabby here. As I was editing this video, I realized that one of the clips is missing, the one for The Project by Courtney Summers. And I'll keep it simple and easy so you guys don't have to look at my face without makeup for very much longer. I have no interest in reading this book. I have zero interest in reading any Courtney Summers. The only thing I've seen from her is scary books, and I don't do scary books, so this one's gonna be a pass for me. The next book is one I already have, which I didn't know hadn't been published in the United States. But it is The Gilded Ones by Namibia Forna, I believe is how you say her name. It came in a book box last year. My edition of it is gorgeous. It has these beautiful aqua like sprayed edges, and it's like this gold foiling, and I'm actually really excited to read this book. So I already own this one, so it's definitely going to be read probably before February 5th because I'll probably want to get a review out before. Last but not least is my favorite category, which is romance. And if I don't say I'm going to read this book, I'm going to have a very angry Texan show up at my door demanding my head on a platter. And that is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. My friend Elandis, Manic Femme here on YouTube and Instagram, has not stopped talking about this book for months. And she's completely sold me on it. I am definitely going to read Honey Girl. I am super excited to read it. I don't know when I'm going to get around to it. But it does look really good. And I definitely see how this might be the book that both of us likes, because if you don't know this, me and Landis actually have completely opposite tastes in books. If I tell her, hey, I hated this book, you should get it, she'll immediately go out and get it. And the same thing from her to me. She's like, I did not like this, you should probably put it in your TBR. And we're almost always right, but for this one, we might both really enjoy this book because it honestly sounds amazing. So this is the fun part in my eyes of the book, which are my 5 Kindle Unlimited or indie suggestions. This month, the January-February one is looking a little pale. Actually, there's a few authors that I don't actually know what they look like, because one of the things with predominantly Kindle Unlimited published romance is that a lot of the authors don't actually tell you anything about themselves or show their photos or their faces on the website, because they don't want to be classified as smut writers, which I think is so dumb. But yeah, they don't put their faces out there, so you kind of don't really know much about them. But I'm gonna go with this particular selection is a little pasty white. So I am going to tell you 3 audiobooks that I actually picked up with my Audible subscription that are authors of color that I have not personally read. They did not come out in January, February, but I will be reading in January and February. So you get bonus suggestions today. I hope you're excited. Sorry if the angle is slightly different, but Mom called. And when Mom calls, you have to answer. First one is Artist Meets Mountain Man and Baker Meets Mountain Man by Marley Michaels. They are the 4th and the 5th book in the Bear Mountain Brothers series, which is a spin-off of a spin-off. So there's tons of books for you to read if you're interested in this series. Artist Meets Mountain Man released earlier in January, so I've already read it, and chef's kisses, it's so good. And Baker Meets Mountain Man, I believe, comes out January 25th. And both of these, so excited for them. I really love this series. I've loved the previous 2 series that this is a spin-off of, and this one is just so good. So one of the things I really enjoy about it is there's an insta-lovey aspect to it, but the way that Marley treats it is as if it was magical realism. And she kind of shadows that into like a pseudo-religion, and it's just done so well that even a snob like me that is very picky about her magical realism really appreciates the thought that went into it, and I just love it. I also like that it's a longer insta-lovey romance. Most insta-lovey romance tend to be between 30 and 60 pages, and this one is in the realm of around 100, so you get a little bit more goodness for your dollars. These 2 are both available in Kindle Unlimited, and so are all of the other books in the series. So if you have a Kindle Unlimited subscription, check these ones out. The next recommendation is Cowboy Seeking a Second Chance by Janice Whitaker. And this one is the 2nd book in a series. The first one was Cowboy Seeking Nanny. And as I was showing my friend the other day, the number of books that I've read that are called Cowboy Seeking Nanny should be illegal. It's in the realm of like 9. So this particular one is about it's one of those series that follows a set of brothers. So the first one followed the oldest brother in a family, and this next one follows the next younger brother who actually broke up with his high school sweetheart, went away for like 6 years to be a rodeo star, and then came back realizing what he had lost, and now he's looking for a second chance. I am really intrigued by the first book because it is something I don't see very often, which is a double single parent situation. I feel like a lot of romances do a lot of, single parent getting together with another, with somebody who doesn't have children, or somebody who might be divorced, but like they didn't really have a previous offspring. But the first book in the series tackled 2 single parents getting together and like melding their families, and I thought that was really cool and different. And this one is also really interesting, the second one, because you're talking about a man that kind of lives with his mom. His mom's very angry at him for what he did to this person. His mom is fairly in the side of his ex-girlfriend, and his ex-girlfriend has thrived since breaking up with him. She has her own business. She's like doing really well for herself, and she's kind of like not taking any shit from him. So I'm really intrigued to see how this goes. Obviously, we know that they're going to end up together, but I really want to see how we get there because I feel like it's going to be really interesting. The third suggestion is Cowboy's Accidental Wife by J.P. Corneau. I hope I'm saying their name right. But this is another book in a series of brothers. This is the 5th brother out of 6. There's 3 brothers and then there's 3 half brothers. I forget the name of the series, but I'll put the cover of the first book and then the cover of the one that's coming out. I think it's in February up here. They've been meh, I will say. But they're getting better. So I'm hoping that since this is the second to last one, this is the last one in the series, because I've not read the 5th one in the series, actually in my TBR right now. Yeah, it's basically, if you don't like the billionaire trope, this one's not for you, because all 6 siblings are billionaires. And they're just they're down-home cowboys that just happen to hit rich with the oil industry. It takes place in Texas. So they're looking for down home women to kind of share their lives with because of, you know, gold diggers and things like that. I used to be a really big fan of the billionaire trope, but I am no longer as much of a fan, mostly because I don't think people should be that rich. But this one kind of snuck in under there because I do love me a good cowboy romance. So we'll see if it gets better or if it gets worse. Who knows? Number 4 is actually the only book in this little 5 recommendations that is not a romance, and it is In Love and Pajamas by Katana Chetwynd. And she is one of my favorite comic book artists on Instagram. If you do not follow Katana, I highly suggest you going over to your Instagram and following her. Her stuff is so good, and I actually have both of her first books. So this is the third book that she's releasing. The second one, I think it's called Funny Moments, and the first one I think is just called Katana. I'll put the covers of the two of them here, but In Love in Pajamas is her third comic, and I am just so excited to own it. Basically, I just want it in my hands. Super excited. All her comics are super comfy, cozy. They also speak harsh truths about life, and sometimes I feel a little attacked by them, but you know, who doesn't? And the last one in this part of my recommendations is Enjoy the View by Sarah Morgenthaler, which is a new edition because I recently read The Tourist Attraction, which is the first book in the Moose Alaska series, I believe it's called. And it was amazing. It's the best book I've read in January. I'm super excited to read Mistletoe and Mr. Right, which I am planning to read in the next couple of days. And then the third book in the series, Enjoy the View, is coming out in February, I believe. And I am just so excited to finally have it in my hands. This is definitely a Fade to Black romance, which the other 3 were not. So if you're interested in something that doesn't really have sexy scenes in it, this might be the one for you. This one unfortunately is not available in Kindle Unlimited, while the first 3 are. But they are relatively cheap on just Kindle, and Mistletoe and Mr. Right actually was actually on sale a few weeks ago, so you might be able to wait and get this one on sale as well. But I'm super pumped for this one to come out. Low-key, like, one of my highly anticipated releases of the year, but I didn't know about it until like a few weeks ago, so I can't really say that. But yeah, so those are my 5 romance, well, 4 romance and 1 sneaky comic in there. So because my 5 recommendations were looking a little pale in my personal opinion, I wanted to add 3 books that I actually just got on Audible with some credits that I'm really excited to read. 2 of them are romance, one's a nonfiction, but I hope you guys are as excited as I am to read these books. None of them are relatively new. I think one of them came out in like the later part of 2020, but I think the other 2 are a little bit older than that. So these are new to me. So if you would like to read a romance, or have you already read all the 5 that I've recommended, I've really, you know, maybe we can read these ones together. So to get the nonfiction out of the way, it is Cast by Isabel Wilkerson, which is a book about how the caste system, which is a system of social hierarchy that is traditionally used in the Indian subcontinent, really does permeate all societies around the world. And I found it really interesting, especially as a white passing Hispanic woman. I know that there are privileges that I have because of the way that I sound and the way that I look that some of my darker skinned Hispanic counterparts don't have, but I am also an immigrant, so like there's very many ways that privilege does benefit me and doesn't benefit me as well. So I found it really interesting that she is putting it in this different way of putting privileges and how they can affect you and things like that. I'm really intrigued. I don't want to say that I know too much about the book because I haven't read it yet, but I'm very, very intrigued to read it. And even though I just got it, it's going up in my TBR very, very, very soon. The next one is Real Men Knit by Kwana Jackson. And this one, if you don't know this, you might want to head over to my Instagram because I'm actually a really avid crocheter. I love to crochet. I actually find pleasure in making my own clothes and making my own garments. So I crochet. I know how to knit, but it's not my favorite thing in the world, and I hand sew. So when I saw this one, I was really intrigued because it is about a son who lost his mother, and he and his brothers inherit this knit shop, and his brothers want to shut it down and he doesn't, and the manager of the store kind of helps him out and they fall in love. And this one sounded right up my alley. Knitting, yes. Devoted son, yes. Forced proximity trope, yes. I'm here for it. I'm super excited about this one, and I'm probably gonna read it really soon because it's only 9 hours, which for me it's only 3 hours because I listen to books at audiobooks at 3 times speed unless it's Scribd. If you're watching this video, can you please let me listen to books at 3 times speed? Thank you, because you're literally the only platform that doesn't let me do that. We are here at the end. The last book that I am having on my TBR that I am really excited to read is Intercepted by Alexa Martin, which is the first book in the Playbook series. This one, I love me a good sports romance. I actually have the entirety of J.C. Burton's sports collection. I forget which, Play for One, I think it's called. I'll put the first book here. But Intercepted is a book about a girl who's been with her boyfriend, who is an NFL star, for 10 years, and she finds out he's cheating on her, and she breaks up with him and decides she never wants to date another athlete ever again. But then she falls in love with another athlete, and wants to bring her around and things like that, but there's unsettled differences between her and some of the other football wives, and they do not want her around. So I think that it's really interesting. The one thing that I'm not super pumped about it is the girl on girl hate that the summary has. I'm pretty pumped. All these 3 are in my immediate reads, along with quite a few other books. If you like me and you like my content, do feel free to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. If you have ideas for what you would like to see from me and my content, do feel free to leave a suggestion down in the description, down in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for spending even a second of your day with me. I love you all so much, and I'll see you later. Bye.